Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 35 of the Disney Infinity and Beyond Webcast. I'm Roger here in the United Kingdom. We have, as per usual, we have Abe there in sunny California. Hi,
yes, sunny California, woohoo!
Yeah, that's what happens when you have some fruit snacks before you come live on air. And we've also got Travis in sleepy New York City.
Yes, very much so.
I love how it's sunny out here in California, and apparently it's nighttime in New York.
It is nighttime.
It's
nighttime everywhere, but apparently always sunny in LA.
It's always sunny in LA. That's it. So this week we have a packed show. We've got loads of news from the last 2 weeks. We've got the new power discs that have been released. We've got Loki and Falcon. We've got sort of 3.0 kind of rumory discussion stuff. We have variant figures, Android updates, iPad updates, glitches, Clarks, shoes, Kellogg's, cereals, photo shoots, and all kinds of bits and pieces. So let's kick things straight off with the news and Abe's. And right, so let's kick off with those power discs that have been the big sort of story of the week. Okay, so since you guys have got them, so I'm going to throw that over to Abe to tell us about these things.
All right, let's talk about these power discs. First off, wow, if there's anything we got from these power discs, there's two things. One, awesome way to actually sell them. You know what you're going to get. They're really cool. And two, learn, because this was horribly handled. We didn't know about these discs for the whole course of Disney Infinity. In fact, we didn't know until a week before launch. In fact, somebody on the forum, on the Facebook group, posted a receipt that they reserved them at GameStop, and we're like, what's going on? And anyways, long story short, it's crazy how we barely got them. And then, not to mention, there was miscommunication on when they were actually going to come out. Then they were pushed back. No other retailers have seen it except for GameStop. And then, not to mention, the entire world except North America is unlucky.
Yeah, apparently the rest of the world, we're not allowed them. They're a North America exclusive. So, yeah, that went down like a lead balloon. Yeah, apparently Disney UK decided not to do it, and they are responsible for the distribution in Europe and also Australia, because that's quite connected. That's quite close to us. I don't know about the rest, like Africa and Asia and stuff. But yeah, I mean, personally, from our point of view, this was a huge kick, basically, of like, why are we not getting these discs, in the rest of the world? It's just, it doesn't make any sense. It just feels like it was so last minute. I mean, when they knew these discs would come in, it just seems a really poor decision not to release it outside of North America. Great for you guys.
Roger, I'm trying to rub it into you, but I know Travis is sending you a pack, so it's not. It doesn't hurt. No, but honestly, like, it does suck especially for we were talking about this before. Is that it's a game that's all over the world, and it sucks because most of the world who doesn't have any North American connection, or they don't like to shop on eBay or anything like that, they're not going to have this in the game. So hopefully something happens.
The only good thing is it's going to be a lot cheaper than trying to ship this thing to me.
Yes, that's true.
This thing I think cost more to ship than it did to buy.
Yeah, that's happening.
That's only because you got it on sale, Roger.
Yeah.
What about you, Travis? What do you think about these power discs? What's going on?
Well, I think they're awesome. First off, the Falcon disc is just great. I love the way Falcon looks as a figure, but his Winter Soldier costume is amazing. The Captain Marvel team-up disc, Captain Marvel's pretty badass. She really gets in there and just loves to just kick some major booty. The distribution method's okay for me. It does break away from their blind pack, and I don't think it's necessarily what they wanted overall, but it's also a test phase, I guess, to see how well it's received. I know a lot of people like it, but I could also see it being an issue because these 2 discs are really wanted. Everyone wants these discs. What happens if you make a 2-pack where no one wants one of the discs or both of the discs? Well, then you're going to have a bunch of packs on the shelf of discs that people don't want. So if they're going to go this route in the future, they're going to want to put in discs that they know are going to be good sellers.
I don't know. I think this opens up potential for like holiday packs and that stuff we've been talking about. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what you're getting. I mean, what if it's like a 2 of 6 series? You know what I mean? They're still blind, but at least you know it's like something specific. It's something we've been wanting.
I think gradually they're just
kind of like
great one.
This is kind of like what they did with the Toys R Us discs, except with Toys R Us they had the UPC codes on the back. So I see where you're going with that. I just don't think that the route would be safe to go if they did it with the entire run. Special series I could definitely see, but not like an entire run series.
No, I mean, I think the actual idea of putting 2 discs in a specific pack with labeling, great. I think it's a good way of adding additional content on top of the big bags. You know, especially like around Christmas time, where you've got a specific movie coming out to kind of sell it. I can't see them releasing all 100 discs this way, because the amount of SU codes and basically stores just wouldn't be able to stock it all. The only thing that kind of kicks me is, you know, I'm looking at like the Skylander traps and like how many of them went out to different retailers, and it's that thing of, is this a test? And I'd love to see a mix of the two. I'd love to see the blind bag series and the few little packs like this. You know, I'd love to have like a pack like that come out, you know, 2 weeks before Christmas with 2 Christmas themed power discs, or two like now come out just before Avengers or something like that, just to kind of tie in. You know, this. I'd like to see a little bit of a mix. I think that's kind of quite cool. I like this, but those you know, those Toys R Us discs you talked about in the Europe, those packs actually did have the disc.
Yeah, you can see them on there.
So it wasn't as bad, and different retailers had them here. So it was a lot. They were still poorly handled communication-wise, but it was a lot easier than in the US. So I like the packaging on that. It looks crisp. It looks clean, and you can see exactly what they are. So no, I think they look pretty cool.
Yeah, I do like them. I mean, yeah, it sucks how they didn't come out till the very end, or we didn't find out about them till the very end. But it's still cool. I'm glad we have them finally.
I kind of look at that in that opposite way. I think it's actually, I wish if they'd said this from the start and said, "Oh, they're coming out in sort of April," I think everyone would be like, "Yeah, that's cool, that's fine." I think the way it was not mentioned was probably the word. I don't have a problem with them releasing, trying to release discs throughout the year and spread them out a little bit. I think that's a good thing. You know, it'd be quite cool to think that, you know, maybe we had like 2 discs coming out in June or something like that, just to kind of spread it out a bit, because it's all so lumped in together at that beginning. That's, you know, that's my personal view. I don't know what Travis thinks.
Yeah, well, a couple things. One, I know that these discs were delayed for production purposes, I believe, because we knew about that back in New York Comic Con, and when I was talking to JV about it then, he mentioned how he was upset that they were delayed and they didn't make it into the blind packs, but they had to do something special with the release, similar to a different type of release that they did with the Aladdin 2 discs that were delayed also. And I don't necessarily think it's a great idea that Disney UK didn't do it that way, but I can semi-understand why they didn't release the information about it until release day, because of, let's say, everything that happened with Tron and the backlash that not everyone across the board was getting the exact same thing. Just imagine how much outrage people would have had 2 weeks out of the release date.
Yeah.
And then having the same outrage again on release date. So it's like ripping the Band-Aid off twice. It's available right now at GameStop locations. GameStop online, you can order it and get it shipped to you internationally if you go through the GameStop US website. It's also available on the Disney Store website in the U.S. And JV mentioned in an interview, an on-air podcast he did last week with Game Trailers, that it is or will be on Amazon. Don't know if that was a mispronunciation on his part, but I would check out Amazon in the near future also. I have a feeling that not every retailer like Best Buy and Toys R Us and all the other ones here in the United States and in Canada picked them up, mainly because they might not want to deal with a lot of overstock.
Yeah.
I could see if all these retailers had these discs, that a lot of them would remain with overstock, just like they do with the 1.0 power discs and 2.0 power discs.
Just tap in, just for some of the sort of international collectors here. You have got those options of going through the retailers. However, I don't think Australia is not an issue because I don't think they guys have to pay tax or customs when it comes in. But if you're in the UK and you're ordering from them, you might get stung with really high customs fees. So I would probably recommend trying to, if you can, try and go through, maybe eBay or through like someone in the groups and sort of get them sent in that way, because that way you don't end up with a customs fee, because the shipping is expensive enough without then getting hit with a whopping great big customs fee. And that's pretty much like with importing anything. But yeah, it might be if you go especially like DisneyStore.com, you will get stung with customs fees, and that is adds even more expense. Let's just say if you said to you guys now and said, well, if you want those powders, you can have them, but they're going to cost you $15 a piece. It does slightly make it. So that's why I would suggest holding fire a little bit. I know there's a couple of UK guys and stuff have been importing in. It might be good if a few people sort of club together and ship them in at once, rather than sort of dealing with it in all the custom fees one-on-one.
Yeah.
Okay, that was just my little tip there for that.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody from the UK right now has gotten it through DisneyStore.com, US website, but I do know a few of them have gotten through GameStop's online website.
It was very quick as well.
And they actually got them before we did here in the United States. Yeah, we didn't mention here that they were supposed to be out last Tuesday with the release of Loki and Falcon. Well, there was a shipment delay. Yeah. And so a lot of stores did not see them until Thursday or Friday in order for the event that happened this past weekend. The good thing about that is most stores got them in for the event this weekend, because one of the biggest draws was these discs were free with a purchase of $10 or more in Infinity products, in addition to a bunch of other great deals for GameStop. GameStop had a great weekend in Disney Infinity deals and sold a lot of Disney Infinity product.
Do you think that was the main reason why GameStop got them, was because they obviously done a big deal to get people in there to do your big Infinity weekend? Because it sounds to me like if they were giving them away free, if you brought the new figures, it kind of sounds like a kind of very much kind of a very retailer kind of exclusive-y kind of zone at that point. I don't know about what Abe thinks.
I don't know if they were exclusive, okay. But I know GameStop has. I feel like they've been more of the Infinity exclusive per se, even though they don't have many exclusives. Like they've handled most of the stuff better. Like, you had the Rocky Raccoon collector's edition come out. They had a weekend event thing for that, and it was good and successful. And they have Captain America coming out in May. And this, obviously it drew a lot of people in. When I went to my GameStop, I was fortunate to find 2 left. So, it definitely, I feel like it wasn't like Toys R Us, where it was like you go to Toys R Us and you see tons of crystal figures and power discs. They had to get rid of them for $1 a piece type of thing. So, I don't know. I don't know if it was a GameStop exclusive, but maybe it's like a last-minute resort. Let's go ahead and ship them out to GameStop before we go anywhere else, see what happens.
Okay. On the same subject as that, obviously Loki and Falcon were released in the US as well. You've both guys have picked them up. What are your thoughts on those 2 characters now you've actually got to play them?
Well, we actually played earlier, a few hours ago, actually. Yeah, you know what? Coinciding to an interview and also part of that live cast that we saw. These figures are gorgeous the way they look. They're very designed with anticipation for their next move. Falcon is just those wings are really cool. No, they're not Traptanium, Roger. For the last time. No, these are awesome wings. But as far as how they play, their animation is great. I love how Loki, even though you do have hover and fly with other figures, the fact that Loki only hovers, I mean, it kind of makes it feel unique and new, even though it's not. But I love playing Falcon. He's just so much fun to play with. Just flying, the way he shoots his gun, his animations, and then not to mention, like Travis said, the power disc makes him look really cool. So I don't know. I love them. They're definitely, well, obviously they're the newest, so they're clearly my current favorites. But but overall, they're really fun to play with.
Yeah, I mean, I find like Falcon is so fast to fly. I put Maleficent on last night, and I'm like, oh, it felt like I was in slow mo. I do find Loki. I find the whole hovering thing quite frustrating because it's a bit like the Gustum Mule power disc where you can do it, but you've just got to do it really slow.
So I was taking advantage of that, especially because he has a decoy, and the more you level him up, you have multiple decoys you can use, and then you can also have them fighting. I had Travis and we had Bill join us, another member. They were both fighting my decoys while I was shooting them from the hovering above, so it's pretty cool. What about you, Travis? What do you think about the two figures?
I haven't played much with Loki. I haven't leveled up. I played enough to level him up, so I could do a review and everything like that. But Falcon, I cannot get enough of him. The flight, the multiple bursts from his wings when he shoots. The costume disc is great. I'm very happy with the design, and because when they pay particular attention to the wings, and it's a step up in the process. You might not necessarily notice it, but just that part there means that they had to do more to the figure.
Yeah.
So they're taking better quality care in the figure, and I'm sure that in future incarnations of the game, we will see more care put into the figures like this. Apparently, from what JV said I think it was an article last week, that packaging was very prominent with the Falcon figure. They had a couple other designs because they wanted to show Falcon in kind of flight or a flight stance, and it took them a few different designs where they could get what you see now, where it fits into the packaging, because that's one of the biggest things for them is they need to fit that Disney Infinity packaging. They can't have a figure too far outside of the box with the packaging. Similar to Thor and Venom they've been said before. Thor and Venom had to be redesigned a few times in order to make sure that they could fit packaging.
So was Loki too. I remember him saying that the scepter. They had to reposition it because they had it going up. Yeah. But anyways, carry on.
Okay, right. So, you sort of slightly touched on it before. There was the this webcast. GameTrailers.com did a great show with JV as a guest, and they were discussing the game in quite a few bits and pieces. There wasn't anything sort of majorly new that we sort of found out because we're right at the tail end of 2.0. JV had his sort of the PR guys were there ready. He wasn't really allowed to talk about anything other than the platform is growing. That was basically the kind of the general sort of concept there. So yeah, no, it's pretty cool that he was doing that, and he's been sort of appearing on lots of different interviews in release to Falcon and stuff. And yeah, no, I just wanted to throw it over to you guys what you thought of that Game Trailer podcast.
I think it was really cool for him to actually so much. He like basically vomited the word community. Like he just cares about the community so much, and he also gave us the fan sites a big heads up, like a thank you for what we do, and so we thank him right back. And again, I know we congratulated him a while ago, but let's do it again. Congrats on your promotion. So we're happy for you. But anyways, no, it's cool for us to see him do that, just to go on and thank the community. But I know there was nothing confirmed, nothing said, but I kind of read body language, and they evaded anything to do with something coming up fairly coming up. So I'm like, okay, maybe next month we might get something. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. I have a feeling that next big event we might have something. No confirmation, but that's just my gut feeling.
Now, Travis, what did you think? Did you watch the show?
Oh yeah, I watched it a couple times. Once I watched it live, and then I watched it yesterday. Now, when I found out I was going to be on the show here, just so I refreshed, and two things stood out to me. One, all but kind of confirmation that they will be at D23 in some form, and he said, just you wait, or you have no idea. They were talking about the D23 Mickey that was given out in 2013, and he's like, just you wait, something like that. And so off the bat, I was like, okay, they're going to be at D23 in probably a big way, which is awesome, because D23 is all about Disney, not necessarily Marvel, not necessarily Star Wars. Not saying they're not present, but D23 is mainly about the mouse and all of his cohorts. And, the second thing that struck me as interesting was there's going to be a future. Now, whether they, when, how, why, whatever, future, they're very positive about the future. So that's awesome. So that was like, the entire show was like, we see a future. We're looking forward to what's coming up. Like, for example, someone asked they were taking live questions from the audience who's watching, and one of the questions was, what do you regret, or what do you miss that didn't make it into 2.0?
No, yeah.
And JV said there is a character that got cut. He was not going to name the character because that would just open up the doors as to, will that character be in, will that character not be in for future incarnations. And he said he's not going to say it. But he never confirmed whether it's going to be there or not. But I like how even someone so high on the totem pole of that company can has stuff that he's looking forward to possibly in the future. They also talked about Tron Gate and how hashtag Tron Gate. They actually name it by what came from it, and that was a debacle of epic proportions. They went in thinking they were doing something nice for the people that waited around for the iOS version, and it got snubbed back in their faces. And during the show, he left it open to the possibility of those figures coming out in the future. He didn't say yes, he didn't say no, but the possibility is there. So,
one thing that I do notice, picking back off of Travis, when they do ask him that question, he always says the words, in 2.0, yes, they are digital exclusives. So it's like that always leaves the door open. And yeah, I agree with Travis there too. And also picking back off of another thing that he said, that kind of ties into recent the recent webcasts. There was also an article written and in regards to what's coming to Disney Infinity, and they asked him if he can describe what the future for Disney Infinity is, or 3.0 or whatever, in one sound, what would it be? And his answer was, and then he says, whatever sound your jaw makes when it hits the what was it, the top of the table or the floor or whatever, because that's how amazing this is going to be. So, yeah, there's definitely great anticipation of what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite interesting. I thought with like the whole like the Tron Gate, what they were talking about was one of the co-presenters that was asking the question because why did everyone get upset about the digital one? Because she didn't know anything about Infinity, and I think the other two guys were just like, yeah, no, it was you've got all those figures sat there in front of the desk, and it was like, yeah, there was no doubt about it. They learned I think that one really did kind of what they thought was maybe was going to be accepted a lot better than it really did, and they were aware that there was a massive backlash, and it'll be interesting to see how they learned from that. I gonna be honest, I have got no doubt in my mind that those figures are going to come eventually, just to keep people happy. And I honestly believe that they aren't. What version when there will be, that's the question. But I think they'll fix it.
And just for fun and for kicks, I think that figure that Travis said that JV was upset that got cut.
Yeah.
Just for kicks, I'm gonna say it was Darkwing Duck. I'm just gonna say it. Just for kicks, it was Darkwing Duck.
Okay.
So, anyways,
the only thing is that they have mentioned in the past that Darkwing was on the board for 2.0, but did get cut, and that's why they have the Ratcatcher and the gun. I don't know how early on Darkwing was cut. He could have been cut in concept before they even started designing.
Well, that was one of the big things he was saying right at the beginning, was about this thing of one of the biggest problems for Disney Infinity is deciding the roster. The roster is their biggest thing that they have to do when they're trying to put together their roster of how many spots they've got available. Who's in and who's out is one of the most difficult decisions, and I can believe that, because it doesn't matter what you do, someone's not going to like it. But if you've only got 35 spots open for figures in any game, or however many figures, trying to pick that must be pretty difficult.
You know what, Roger? Oh, go ahead, Travis. You had something to add. Go ahead.
Well, no, JV harped on that during the show, the game trailers thing last week. And it was a great show, by the way. I enjoyed it. It was like it went overboard for like 20 minutes. It was an hour, 20 minutes of. It was pretty cool stuff. What?
Not that we ever do that.
No, we never do that. But we don't usually have JV on, so. But at the same time, they were excited because they brought up Nova, for example. And some people don't know who Nova is. Part of the Marvel universe, part of the Spider-Man playset. That some people don't know who he is, and they're happy that they can bring in some of these obscure characters that people might not know and bring new life to them. And I enjoy that. They're not just throwing out all their heavy hitters right away. They're not throwing out everyone that they know they're going to be extremely popular. I know that when Tinkerbell was talked about being released, that some people were on the fence on whether they wanted to have Tinkerbell in their roster. I'm not saying she's the greatest character, but she does look great. And I know a lot of people are excited, but again, that's more... They're not just going by the obvious ones, and I think that harkens to, deciding early on what's going to be a well-rounded group of characters and a good combination of them. So,
yeah. What I was going to say is, based off of what both of you guys have been saying, roster, how it's important, I kind of want to segue into one of our next topics, which is something that kind of conflicts with that. And it's I don't know, it's a little worrisome and it's a little not. Variants or costume change discs. Some topic that was brought up in the past, and it was also talked about in this recent Toy Box TV by the community. The reason why they got rid of the crystals is because they wanted to get more slots to new characters and give us more figures. Well, we do have a little Black Suit Spider-Man variant coming out, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, we want to see more variants and stuff like that. But then that again goes back to taking away slots for new characters. I personally enjoy a variant from time to time, but not a lot of them. In fact, I do like the costume change discs. I mean, this is such a great, I do want to see Falcon in his Winter Soldier outfit and everything, but the fact that, he came out like this, I'm cool with it. As long as I have this as well, even better. It's cool, but to have him just looking the way he does in Winter Soldier, I don't know if I would be okay with that if it takes away from us having, I don't know, a Captain Marvel figure later on. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I mean, it was quite interesting when when they were talking about sort of these variants and stuff. Disney, JV even said that their aim is to make sure all the characters are on the shelves all the time. They're not short-changing. They're not trying to create demand. They're not trying to do anything. And that, to me, kind of slides into this variant issue because if they're going to be available all the time, they're going to have to sell well for the long time. I don't necessarily think those crystal ones had very long. They haven't got a long shelf life. Black Suit Spider-Man is a cool figure with a very cool idea. I'm not opposed to having the variant figures as a special, but I don't want to see lots of them because they're expensive. They take up space. Power discs are a lot more affordable. You're looking at a couple of dollars for a power disc, and also but you could have a character that maybe has got multiple costumes. Mickey Mouse, for example, could have. He's the only character I think could get away with more variants, but it's like Spider-Man has got dozens of outfits, and I don't necessarily want a figure straight away. In Disney Infinity 8.0, they could bring out an Iron Suit Spider-Man, and everyone be like, "Oh, that's cool, that's fresh, that's different." But maybe not all at the same time bringing out variants. And they've got such a big roster, they don't need to do it straight away. They're not like other companies that have only got a very, very limited set of characters that they've got, and they want to try and maximize it with variants. Disney haven't got that problem. They haven't, and I think there's going to be that balance of trying to get it right. Maybe one variant for 2.0 maybe wasn't quite enough, and it might not take away as much space as we think because they already had the power disc version. But yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. I like more costume change power discs in anyway. I like to see more than we got in the first in 2.0. But the odd variant figure I'm quite happy with, as long as it makes sense and it's not something crystal or gold or silver, something that looks completely different. Okay, Travis, what do you think?
Few things. One, the crystals were debacle, and I think they learned that with the overstock that Toys R Us currently has of them, that it wasn't necessarily the right way to go. I have a feeling that a lot of us are going to be buying PS Vita because we want the Black Suit Spider-Man, and I think it's not going to be I personally think it's going to be exclusive to PlayStation or PS Vita at least until the next incarnation comes out. I don't think they're going to just be a 30-day release exclusive. I think PlayStation paid a lot of money to get that variant figure, and I think we'll see variant figures more of like retailer exclusive or a set exclusive rather than a mass market variant. JV has said in the past that they might release figures in the future, variant figures or new versions, if they make sense. I'm not saying they're not going to release another Jack Skellington. I don't see them releasing another Jack Skellington in the near future. Maybe Pumpkin King Jack. That would be a variant figure but it needs to make sense. Like, don't release another Spider-Man. Maybe Spider-Gwen. They talked about the creator of Spider-Gwen wanting to have Gwen in the game. Someone from Disney's talking to him for possible inclusion in the future, or the female Thor that came out, or it needs to make sense. And I think JV said they're not going to put out new sculpts of figures just because. They're not going to put out a new Elsa just because. They're not going to put out a new Vanellope just because.
No. I was going to say,
just because.
I was going to say what you were saying, Travis. I agree 100%. As far as long as it makes sense, then that's great. Like you guys saw it. I tweeted a picture to JV with the Lego Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you want to release a variant? Release this. It makes sense. It's Age of Ultron's coming out, and it's a completely different look compared to just the current Iron Man. That would be a cool variant, but like you said, it has to make sense.
I mean, actually, piggybacking off of what Travis has said, I mean, like Spider-Gwen, Female 4, to me, are different characters. They are actually different people, so therefore they're not even variants because they are sort of entirely different kind of characters. But yeah, so that's that Spider-Gwen stuff which he was talking about was more sort of he's putting the right people in touch with the right people. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a Infinity thing. It could just be, but
it could be.
It could be.
You never know.
The impossibilities are infinite.
The impossibilities? You mean that's true. Yeah. The impossibilities are.
Yeah. Tron.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Anything else on that before we move on to some of the other news from the last 2 weeks?
No, that's good. Moving on.
Since this time last week, I was standing in line at Disneyland Paris in the freezing cold. Right. Okay, so...
Raj, really?
Yes.
I'm in the freezing cold. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey,
you were in Disney.
Yeah.
Isn't that tower of terror falling apart over there in Paris? That place needs to be fixed up.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Disneyland, I must admit, we had a fantastic time in Disneyland Paris. But there is that one thing of going to Disneyland Paris that you're in Europe in spring when everybody is in coats, jacks, woolly hats, scarves. It doesn't quite have that same feeling as being in Orlando or that nice
Southern California.
Southern California. There's that thing, when you're having it's like you're standing there and everyone's you're standing there for the 9 o'clock show and everyone's just freezing. That's the drawback, but it's still Disney, and I've got to say, the Dream Show, Big Night Show was fantastic. Ratatouille was fantastic. Crush Coaster, that's another great attraction there. But yes, anyway, right. So also this week we have some information on a little image come through of an Android picture of Disney Infinity 2.0 running on an Android phone. I know they've been working on it for a while. There's no release date. There's no information. In all honesty, they've been working for it a while. There's a big demand for Android. There's a lot of Android tablets. They know it's huge on PC and iPad. I think it's more just a case of when it's going to be, So hopefully that will come soon. Personally, I think it's great for Android owners. It's this kind of thing that obviously these tablet-free versions are great. And they are good, but they does seem to be very late in the game to be. So, we're talking about Vita and Android versions coming out of a game that's 6 months old. But then look at Minecraft. But there we go. So, any thoughts on those two? There, are you on Android devices?
I am, but my tablet won't. It'll die if I play it, so it's okay.
My iPad's pretty much struggles with Infinity. To be honest, it's just too big.
Yeah, I had to delete it from my iPad. I tried it. Yep. No. It didn't work.
Even with that new controller or whatever, I don't think it makes a difference for me if the iPad was my only option where I didn't have any of the consoles, then by all means. But that controller, it's great. It's cool for people who like to design on the iPad. I don't agree with the statement that that's where their major market is because it's a free app, so of course everybody's going to be having that game. But as you guys can tell, most people either can't use it or delete it. So
yeah, that kind of leads on to the next issue. There was that there was an update to the software which allows for game controller to be used with the iPad. So it's apparently should make things a lot easier. I think it's kind of the whole mobile device really is kind of almost a subject for a later episode, really, because there's quite a big sort of market and there's very different kind of business. So I think I'm going to pop that one on a note for a future discussion on mobile devices.
Yeah, and that would probably take some research on our part because I know some of our members on Infinity Beyond on Facebook. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They work on mobile, and they're really excited about it. Yeah. Whereas the three of us, either we don't have it on our iPads, or it's frustrating, so we don't play it a lot on our iPads. So we're not necessarily the best people to talk about it at this point in time. I'm not saying that we won't be future, and I think it's a great topic to talk about because it's necessary. It's something that's only going to be getting bigger from Disney. The next incarnation or whatever, or if they release it on Android, having that ability is going to be great. But at this point, I think we're too green on the subject.
I must admit, I would say I do spend a couple hours a week actually building a toy box on my iPad version. I tend to like building like the basic default sort of put down the lands, put down some of the bits and pieces, and I kind of spend a good hour or two kind of doing what I'd call the basic early stuff, and then I go in later and finish it off with things. So I've played through the toy box game discs as well. So I kind of use it. I use it as a tool that I can use, when I'm sat watching TV, just to kind of start my toy box off. But I can't finish it. I just get too frustrated. But anyway,
Roger, make sure you don't put the interiors in there.
Oh yes, that's onto one of our next big problem. Right. So we're going to talk here about something we're going to call the glitch, and
where's Penelope?
Yeah.
Yes. Basically, if you're unaware of what this was, a while ago, the toy box community team were doing it themselves. Sometimes there would be an interior toy being used within a normal toy box, and people started to sort of one's knowing where everything was going. That's not right. Something's going on here, and somehow somebody got around the trick of getting the interior toys into the toy box. Now I'm going to be honest. I tried the glitch and I played around with it and I got it all to work. And yeah, it looks fantastic. And I think there's no doubt about the fact that everyone wants those interior toys in a toy box in the future. But the big issue was some of the big toy box artists were using them, and apparently it was starting to cause problems for people to basically crash out their save files and causing major problems, and it just generally wasn't running very smoothly. Disney took the decision to basically come out and basically say, do not use this glitch. Any toy box using these glitches will be kind of disqualified. However, there was the #1 toy box for the Stark Industries Challenge that had the items in it. It got removed from the system, but it still was awarded it because I think they took that it was a really cool toy box, but they couldn't let people play it. So yeah, there was a kind of real big thing about the glitch is a great option, but generally, if you want to be using them, I would basically just don't use them in the game because the glitch wasn't built for that, and there seems to be some issues of how well they perform, and I think the general idea they've put out is do not go near them if you can. Have you got any thoughts on that? I'm going to throw that one over to Abe first.
I mean, yeah. I agree. It would be kind of cool to have the interior toys to use at all times without corrupting my save files and stuff like that. I honestly didn't care to try to place one down. I can live without them. I mean, Travis can speak for me as, our recent gaming session. It doesn't take much for us to actually have a lot of fun in the toy box. We don't need extravagant little toys to be a part of it. But, I mean, do I want them to be a part of it in the future? Absolutely. Ever since I was younger, like when I played on my Game Boy, they had that Game Genie that would help you cheat.
Yeah.
Even that would help. That would actually corrupt your game, and that actually happened to me in one of my games when I was growing up, and I wasn't too happy about it. But ever since then, I honestly don't like to cheat. I like to go through things normal. I don't want to say the interior toys is exactly cheating in this game, but you are going against what the game was built to do. So that's why I don't do it. I mean, if you can get it to work perfectly fine, go for it. I mean, if that's what you want to do, go for it. But yeah, I would try to stay away from them if I were, suggesting it to at least to the younger kids playing the game or the parents who are watching their kid. The last you want them to see is to have something they spent hours on to build just disappear. That's the last thing you want.
Yeah.
Travis?
Well, one, Disney Infinity is not necessarily mad at people for doing what they did. I have a feeling that the Toy Box team, the ones that create the boxes for everyone to use, they probably have a very easy, very simple way of being able to just put them in as decorations. And they're not upset that people did it. They're not upset that it happened. They're upset because of previous stuff or current stuff, toys that are not necessarily allowed to be in the final product for Disney. If we remember that Marvel box came out that had a bunch of stuff in there that we could grab and have fun with, it might be centered around that, whereas where someone took one of those toys that were not necessarily previously allowed and put them in this box. The reasoning's not exactly quite sure. Disney's not saying that every toy box is going to corrupt. They're saying they don't necessarily know which toy boxes are going to be corrupt. So they're suggesting that no one uses those items and the glitch to build inside their toy box, especially if you're going to submit it to Disney, especially if they're going to share that with millions of people, because they don't want people to just all of a sudden erase their entire save file, which happened. So it sucks. So I'm glad that they were able to catch it. It makes it a lot harder for them to go through and try to make sure that these toy boxes that they're submitting, putting out to be shared, make sure that they pass without being corruptible. But it's the nature of the beast. They can't really prevent people from doing the glitch, unfortunately. So,
I mean, I've kind of got this view that, Disney, they were separated for a reason. Obviously, the system's not quite able to handle it, and the glitch, some of it worked fine. But I think the trouble is as more and more internal items were used, it was making things slightly unstable. But there's this thing of some of them were working fine. I think it's a real fine line between, for them, it's easier for them to come out and say, look, we can't feature a toy box that's got it, and we recommend you don't do it. And I think that's just the way it had to be. It wasn't tested properly then, and it's not working perfectly. It works sometimes, but they had to at least acknowledge the fact and say, look, guys, you can't it's not going to work. I don't think it's going to affect the majority of people, and I think especially if you are spending a lot of time wanting to submit your toy box to get featured in the top 5 every week, yeah, it's a good idea to avoid using them. Right, okay, so look at that, they've got the same haircut. Okay, so we have just got to quickly mention the fact of Trevor's joining the team. We're just waiting now for Abe to sort of do it so we can start doing the Free-Man Blue group.
No, not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
My dad has 4 brothers, and they all are balding, and my dad still has his hair, so I'm lucky. I'm part of the group that still has their hair.
Stop showing off.
Drink the Kool-Aid, Abe. Drink the Kool-Aid.
Right. Okay, so we've got a couple of these are kind of a couple of giveaway information bits and pieces that have come out. First off, over here in the UK, Disney put out information that if you buy some Clark shoes, which are, to be honest, that was growing up as a kid, that's what you wear, and they are a very big shoe retailer here in the UK. If you buy a pair of kids' shoes, you're going to get a digital character, only running through till I think the end of April, which is quite a short-lived one. So there's probably going to be lots of information in the stores and stuff. Seems to be a great idea. It would have made a lot more sense maybe in July and August when all the parents are buying all the school shoes for the kids. It does seem slightly maybe the wrong time, but yeah, I think it's a great idea that they've kind of got all this free digital character stuff, which is kind of slides into what Abe also picked up. So you're going to show what the Americans have got. As
American down here in America.
American. Over there, United States of America.
Fruit snacks and princess fruit snacks with our favorite princesses, with the Jasmines and the Cinderellas. Anyways, if you buy two, and the reason why I say two of these boxes, when you buy two of these boxes, they each come with a little code, and the code, you have to enter two different codes in the Kellogg's website, because these fruit snacks are a Kellogg's brand. Once you enter two codes, you get a free Disney Infinity 2.0 figure, and it's a digital download. And it's for PC or iOS version. So as you can see right there, wait, there it is. App Store or PC. Unlike Great Britain, where everything ends pretty fast, this one goes till the end of the year, so 12/31/2015. You do have to enter the code by, it seems to be September 30th, 2015, but you can redeem the year download by the end of the year. Yeah, it's cool. It's you get to enjoy some fruit snacks with your favorite princesses on there, and you can get a free Disney Infinity figure to play on your iOS or your PC. So cool.
Sam, Cora.
Yeah, I mean, I think, in all honesty, I think this very much sort of slides into that earlier discussion about mobile devices and how they are treated differently, and how they're trying to sort of get people onto them. And they're giving away free stuff. It's a great little gimmick to get people to play the game.
That's exactly my point. iOS or PC is not the most used. It's not the large customer base. It's only because it's free. You're giving me away free figures. You're giving me away free codes for Glow Buzz. You're giving me all this free stuff. That's why people are going to that app. That doesn't mean that's your biggest fan base. That's where the numbers are misconstrued, in my opinion. But again, that's all it is. Just my opinion.
Right. Okay. So I think. Do you want anything to add on that, Travis? On those
fruit snacks? Do you want one?
I want the fruit snacks, by the way. But yeah, the one thing I'm going to follow up with Abe was it's Kellogg's. We know Kellogg's is big. We know that fruit snacks is just part of what Kellogg's does. I wouldn't be surprised if this summer we'll see some of the Disney or non-Disney brand Kellogg cereals, because there are Disney branded Kellogg cereals. Maybe follow suit and we'll see codes inside of those. I mean, we all, though not all, but I know I myself grew up and loved Disney's prizes in the Kellogg's boxes.
Power disc,
especially. So. Would you really want to eat a power disc or cereal that a power disc was packaged in with?
It can come in a nice little bag like this. Put it inside my cereal, and I'm gonna dig through my Lucky Charms, and then boom, here you go. Hey, cool power disc. Oh wait, it's a Santa hat.
It might taste better than the Lucky Charm.
Yeah, right.
First off, Lucky Charms is General Mills.
Doesn't matter. I just got to put it.
Other cereals are available.
One of the biggest cereals got a big theft thing. I mean, I know when certain things were popular, like I can't even remember, but there were some really popular ones, Star Wars ones. As I thought a few years back, you'd go down the toy aisle or the cereal aisle, and the boxes were ripped open. So I can only imagine how many boxes would be ripped open for Disney Infinity discs.
Mm.
So maybe a mail away for a Disney Infinity power disc.
Yeah, mail in. That's true.
I think the biggest problem, and I remember something being said about this before, was one of the biggest problems they've got with using like cereal promotions and stuff is all these new rules on health foods and trying not to associate, I mean, anything kind of sugary isn't allowed to be advertised on TV, and all these different rules and stuff. So I think that's where the problems come in, like with like McDonald's giveaways, etc., like that. So it's always a bit of a grey area now because of the way that sort of the governments are trying to just. If you bought an apple, or a banana, and they come with a power disc, that's probably something they would allow nowadays.
Yeah, Speaking of the McDonald's thing, JV did mention, I guess he has a relative that's pretty high up in the McDonald's corporation, and someone kind of joked with him why McDonald's was not, why aren't they doing McDonald's and Disney? And it all has to do with
nutrition,
health. And if you notice that Disney is kind of strayed away from the big, there were huge promotions growing up with Disney and McDonald's.
They seem to be
when they put out 100 Years of Magic back in the early 2001. They released 100 different figures in Happy Meals. You know how many Happy Meals were sold for kids and adults that wanted to collect all 100? It's crazy.
Hey, can I tap into what you guys said? Check out my fruit snaps. They are made with real fruit, 100% vitamin C, fat-free, and gluten-free.
Do you have like the traffic light system there of like calorie content and sugar and fat on everything on the front of the box?
Yeah, well, it's all on the front of the box, but I don't know if it's color coded. I don't know.
Yeah, we kind of have sort of some, but yeah, I think does Subway in the US have a deal with Disney? Because over here, for example, Mickey Mouse shorts, the cartoon series, are currently being promoted with it. Guardians of the Galaxy was. Yeah, so that's...
We had Guardians. I don't know if we have Mickey right now, but we had Guardians.
Yeah, we do. We have Mickey, and they're like little travel bags, little messenger bag.
Okay, so let's go on to our sort of the last subject on that one, and this was what was it? It was Travis's pictures from Washington D.C. I'm just bringing them up on the screen now. There we go. You can see them all. There we go.
Oh yes, look at them.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain?
I had a question on this one, but please talk about it, Travis.
What's your question, Abe?
Scroll down, Roger. Keep going. Right there. Keep going. And one more. There. What? Why Thor? Why not Captain America? This is like pretty American here.
Okay. The reason Captain America is not at the U.S. Marine Corps.
Is it because he's running in Winter Soldier?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No. If you notice, I tried to do one character per area or memorial, and Captain America would fit best in the World War II memorial because he was in World War II.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
See, do you know what's really bad? Because obviously, maybe not quite as. To me, I always just remember that from like Sergeant Slaughter from WWE in the 90s. It was like at the beginning. Well, look, So there.
Okay. Anyways,
that's just really.
All right, Travis. Talk about your photo shoot, Travis.
For people that can't see, what happened was last weekend I had the privilege of getting Falcon and Loki early from Disney Infinity. So I went down to Washington, D.C. for the day on Sunday, and one of the things I did was I brought all 8 of the Avengers characters, just the Avengers playset. I didn't bring, Agent, Nick Fury and all that fun stuff. I didn't bring him, and I didn't bring Spider-Man, I didn't bring Venom, I didn't bring any of those guys. I brought the 8 Avengers with Loki and Falcon, and I did a photo shoot in and around Washington, D.C. And I visited some iconic places. I visited a bunch of memorials. I went inside the Air and Space Museum, and they had fun. It was an iconic place. It was my first major photo shoot for Disney Infinity, not based inside a Disney park, which is a step for me because it's hard to try to fit everything in. I'm hoping this summer, now that the weather's going to break and I have all of the Spider-Man characters, that I'll do a Spider-Man photo shoot in New York City, maybe an Avengers photo shoot in New York City. Guardians is kind of hard to place because it takes place in space. We don't know.
Go to a planetarium or something like that.
There you go. Maybe the planetarium.
No,
But,
he had to go to space. I'm not taking any. We can't take any.
I'm going to space.
You can go to NASA. That's the kind of
one-way trip to Mars, right?
Yep.
That's cool, man.
But
That's
yeah,
cool
no, I had a bunch of fun. It's not the first time I've done a photo shoot. Down in DC, I did a Vinylmation custom swap photo shoot for our sister site, Vinylmation Kingdom, 2 years ago. And I've done plenty of photo shoots down in Disney, and I've done photo shoots around New York City for Funko and for Disney Infinity. Vinylmation and everything. But I just felt, I like doing it. I do want to make one mention, and I do apologize to our friend Arjan from the Netherlands. I always get this confused. The Netherlands is not Norway, and when I originally did the photo shoot, I sent him pictures of Thor in front of the Netherlands Carillon, which it's a gift of bells that the Netherlands gave United States, and I'm texting him pictures, and I go, "So your god's there now in front of the bell tower," and he goes, "It's not our god. Oh god." And we had a conversation, and I had to basically take the foot out of my mouth. And the bad thing is, it's not the first time we've had that conversation.
Yeah. Well, it's,
sorry, Arjan.
Yeah, it's a bit like your Mounties and stuff out there, isn't it? It's.
I just the one thing is, I go, "Well, it's somewhere up in Europe, right?" And he goes, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Better than me thinking that it's in Canada."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, Arjan, and I'm sorry for everyone in the Netherlands. Norway is not the Netherlands, and you guys don't have Thor as a god there.
No. Right. Okay. Can you still go up the top of that tower?
Wait, what?
You know the the obelisk that Hawkeye was standing in front of. Can you still go up it?
Washington Monument, I believe it's open seasonally. I don't know how much they're open now that they did renovation on it.
Because I remember going up when I went.
It's an old structure, so.
I remember going when I went to DC about 10 years ago. I remember going up the obelisk, and it kind of, it's kind of one of those sort of standout moments because there's only a little window at the top there. But yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Right. Yeah. Okay. Abe's just rested back. He's getting all laid out there. Right. Okay. So, have you guys got anything else you want to talk about this week? Yeah. Okay.
I do have a question for the two of you.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Now that all 30 of the Disney Infinity 2.0 characters, not including Sam Rakora. No, we can even include Sam Rakora if you download them. I know, Roger, you did.
Yeah.
Now that we have all of them out, and we know that 2.0 is officially released, everything's out. 1, what's your favorite character? 2, what's your favorite power disc?
I can't answer that until Black Suit Spider-Man comes out.
Yeah, because not everything is out yet. It hasn't been yet. we still got.
No, that's my way to avoid the question.
Right. As regards power disc, I've got to be very. These two here. These are about for 1.0. There we go. So we got Merlin and Scrooge McDuck. These are the ones that are on my base constantly. See, I even got the band that goes around them, and they just sit there continuously because I use them all the time. Okay. I'm lazy when it comes to power discs. I'm still on 1.0, even though I've got them.
As far as power discs for me, definitely Infinity Gauntlet is one of my favorite power discs. I almost feel like it's overpowered, but just the animation is really cool. And I don't know. As far as figure, geez, that's a tough one. What about you, Travis? Why don't you answer your own question while I think?
Not that we've answered any.
Well, I answered my power disc. I answered my power disc one. I just haven't figured out
my favorite 2.0 figure, and Abe can attest that I use her a lot.
Oh God, Merida.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does use her a lot.
When she's leveled up, she is a beast. Her ricochet arrows, and I think I've talked about it before on this show. She's just amazing, and you know the new releases like Jasmine and Loki and Falcon are great, and I love them. They're a lot better than some of the other original release. You know, back when they released the Marvel and the Originals characters last year, they're steps above. Definitely shows like with Ninja Theory being part of the group and stuff. It shows that they really take care in their figures. Still has to go with Merida. As far as the power disc, Roger would probably hate me, but I do like Gus the Mule. Just for the fun factor in it. I know everything's the power discs are pretty cool. I mean, the costume discs are great, but they don't really have any value. I mean, they're value in the game, but like with Abe's Infinity Gauntlet, there is actually a value in there, and the team-ups there's a value. The costumes are like ooh, costume. Infinity Gauntlet's great. Louis Bananas, King Louis Bananas.
Oh, that's fun. That's a good one.
That's a good event disc also. Not really a fan of Zeus's Thunderbolts event disc.
Yeah, I mean.
And the Helicarrier Strike's kind of hit or miss. Same with Maleficent's Spellcast. That's kind of hit or miss.
Travis, curveball at you. Who's your favorite Marvel figure of the 2.0?
Ooh, curveball. Ooh.
Yeah. You think on that one while Roger answers.
Yeah, my favorite figure from 2.0 is Iron Man. He flies. He's strong. He's got ranged attacks. I use him probably the most out of all the characters. I'm still using him. He's great for toy box building because he flies, and just in general, I like flying characters, and I like characters that have got the ranged attack, so they can sort of use it for shooting, but also he's pretty strong up close. So he's kind of my go-to guy. 4 kind of slides in there as kind of secondary place. So yeah, those two guys are the two that really kind of jump up, which is quite ironic that they're both kind of the starter pack set. Really, they're sort of What
about your Disney side?
Disney side, probably. Tinkerbell gets used a bit because, again, for flying, playing-wise, Merida's a lot of fun. She's very, very pop. But Bimax is, again, it's an Iron Man kind of, it's the Disney Iron Man for me. I think because of the way I play, I'm either building or we're going through the weekly toy boxes kind of thing. Those are the two things I tend to do a lot now, as opposed to doing the playset. So now it's either I'm either building or I'm playing through people's toy boxes, at which point I'm trying to use like this week I use Iron Fist for some bizarre reason for a few ones. Just try and mix it up because I've got these boxes full of figures and I'm try to mix it up every time I go on if I'm playing toy boxes.
I think for me the Disney side is still Maleficent. I love how she plays. I just like it. She's awesome looking figure. She plays well. Only thing I don't like is when she's riding a mount. Her dress is somehow, I guess, translucent or invisible or something because it doesn't work out with the animation. Marvel side, it's tough for me, but I'm just gonna go with. I don't care about like flying and everything like that. I think which one do I enjoy playing with the most? The big green guy. He's a lot of fun. I love playing with Hulk. If you want to talk about flying and stuff, then I don't know. Falcon's pretty good, but no, the big green guy is definitely my fave. What about you, Travis?
Nova. I remembered Nova.
I used Nova a lot as well.
I loved playing with Nova in Spider-Man playset, which I haven't finished yet, but I played almost the entirety of the Guardians of the Galaxy playset. Once I unlocked Nova, I played most of the Guardians of the Galaxy with Nova because I just could not. He just was great, and like Roger said, he's great. He's a flyer, so I appreciate flying abilities. but I liked his projectile with the energy bursts. So, and then Groot. Groot has a great ability that fist. I don't know, Roger, if you know, but that fist, if you aim it properly, will hit someone in midair.
Yeah.
I've got him.
I'm crediting Travis with that.
I find Groot painstakingly slow. It's like literally just, it feels like I'm playing Infinity in slow motion when I'm using Groot. I loved Groot the character, but in the game I just like, it's so slow, because I think I got so used to Iron Man and Nova whizzing from side to side in the toy box that suddenly when you're sort of plodding through the toy box, it's just like, really? Because when it's also like, when you're using those flying characters, you kind of lose scale. You can fly from one side of the city to the other so quickly that when you're on a non-flying character, you suddenly realize how long it takes to get from place to place. That's the one issue I've discovered. It's not really an issue, but something to be aware of when you're building a toy box, at least.
Yep.
Okay, anything else you guys want to run through? I will admit I haven't played through this week's toy boxes. Just getting back, didn't have time, but I'll just quickly bring up who won this week's top 5.
Pirate Steve.
Pirate Steve. It was the Jungle Book one, wasn't it? That was.
I played through it. Let me just say this. I think it's a very, very well done toy box. And it's just like if you were watching... Well, I mean, obviously, the experience of the toy box is like if you were watching the movie, but like in the toy box version. But other than that, that's all it really is. There's no game in it. There's no, like, quest. There's no villain. Nothing you have to fight. It's just a storytelling toy box.
He had a lot of art in there, right? A lot of box art.
Yeah, the Shere Khan.
Just Shere Khan. Yeah, and then he did build. It wasn't really a box art, but it was really almost like a 3D kind of box art, like a platform of what's the snake's name? Is it Ka?
Ka, yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool too. But other than that, it was cool. You go through each spot. He tells the story. You use the little townspeople. Unfortunately, there wasn't a Mowgli, so he was a little blonde kid with a ice cream cone. But but other than that,
you've also got King Louis' Temple Run by Baroness 89. He's been on a roll with his toy boxes. You've got Jungle Journey by Sonic Photo. I think that's his second or third toy box recently. Jungle Book Minigames by X's Matt. And then Jungle on Fire by Ezra. So I'm planning on playing through some of them tomorrow morning. That's my plan, anyway. But yes, I'm still catching up from vacation. But yeah, no, that's pretty cool. The Jungle Book is a cool kind of thing to kind of bring into. Anything you want to add to that, Travis?
Well, I don't know how they're going to submit them or how they're going to announce them or what, but I do know that a lot of our top toy box game designers that we know of that are a part of the community, they're going to start doing it sounds like they're going to do a lot more team-ups or group things to try to get a really high-quality art out there, especially I think for that Disneyland project that they're doing, where they're doing different rides and different themes and stuff. They're kind of taking the approach that, like, the actual toy box game designers that are hired by Disney, they work in a team, and they each bring their specific skills to the toy box. It sounds like a bunch of these guys that don't necessarily work for Disney are doing the same type of thing, where, like, Pirate Steve is big in the box art. Maybe not necessarily big into the logic or the storytelling. So sounds like a bunch of those type of guys are going to be getting together, 2, 3, 4 of them, and making hopefully some really awesome toy boxes. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with.
I think I think it was CC Runner and Model Train Man worked together on the happiest boat that ever sailed or something. It's a Small World one from the Disneyland. So no, I think Mighty Jidis and Flynn Warrior worked together on a toy box a while ago. So it is pretty cool that they're working together on toy boxes. I think it's a great way of kind of doing something different, maybe thinking differently. I think you got to admit that it's a kind of cool way to do it.
Yeah, 2 heads are better than 1.
Yes. Right. Okay. I think that pretty much wraps up this news for this episode of the Infinity and Beyond show. So if you haven't already done so, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us on the iTunes version, you can subscribe there, and also, if possible, give us a review. That really helps us out. If you're on, give us a thumbs up as well. But yeah, just check us out at Diz Kingdom. You've got all of our social media. You can keep track of it. And we're hoping it won't be long. Look at that. So there we go. Big thank you to Travis for staying up middle of the night for joining us on this show, and also for Abe over there in sunny California. So slowly here the sun has been coming up. So gradually, like if you compare like now to the first hour when we started, I've gradually lit it up. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. It's still dark here, Roger.
Yeah.
It's still dark here too, even though it's sunny California.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I think they're pretty much.
Roger, just wait until Abe and I are in Disney at D23 together, and we'll do live updates for you.
Yeah.
We'll be sunny California, both of us, and you'll be in dreary, rainy, icky, whatever.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you guys next week on our next episode. So, laters.
All right. Yeah. Let's do it.
Do it. We're going out. Laters. Later.